Hi, I'm Kaylee, and today I'm going to tell you about some classic books about families. I love books that have families and family dynamics and family relationships and siblings and all of that as one of the main themes, one of the main plot points and the main relationships. I love stories about families. But before we jump in, I want to make sure that you know that Books for MKs is a charity that donates books to missionary kids. Today's MK Shoutout goes to Carla, who is 6 years old and lives with her family in the Ukraine. And she loves anything that is pink and has princesses. If you want to donate to Carla and children like her, you can do so at GoFundMe.com. And don't forget to subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up. There are a ton of books by Charles Dickens with family as a main theme, but one of the ones that really stands out to me is Martin Chuzzlewit. There are actually two characters, both named Martin Chuzzlewit. They are a grandfather and a grandson, and the grandfather is angry at the grandson and he disowns him, and Martin Chuzzlewit, the younger, has to go and seek his fortune in America, and eventually this family relationship is healed, but there is a long, convoluted plot line of how these two family members finally are reconciled. I just love Dickens for his complex plots. The next one is Percival Keene by Captain Frederick Marryat. Percival discovers that the man that he thought was his father is not actually his biological father. His biological father is a sea captain in Her Royal Majesty's Navy. And so young Percival joins the Navy, hoping to become closer to his real father and finally to get the man to acknowledge him as his son. So of course there's a lot of seafaring adventure and storms and war and pirates and all kinds of fantastic adventures. And through it all, Percival has one goal in mind: to get his father to acknowledge him, to heal this family relationship. It's very powerful and funny and emotional and just good adventure. The next one is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. Mansfield Park is certainly not my favorite Jane Austen, but I can really appreciate the family dynamics and the family relationships that are explored in this book. Fanny doesn't live with her family because they are so poor, and so she actually goes to live with her aunt and uncle and her cousins, and she has this sort of poor relation who's dependent on them kind of relationship where they look down on her. They almost treat her like a servant because she is completely dependent on their charity. At one point in the book, Fanny goes back to visit her mother and father and all her siblings, and she has been away from them for so long that those relationships have just kind of grown apart. She doesn't really feel very close to them, and so it's all about these different dynamics in these family relationships, the way that they don't treat her well, or some of her family do treat her well. It's just such an interesting way to explore all of these different family relationships that are so different. There's such a variety of different characters, and it's all about how Fanny is able to connect with each one of them, or about how there is no connection, about how they disconnect with one another. Jane Austen, in particular, is really great at exploring family relationships in her books, and she does it really, really well in Mansfield Park. The next one is Dr. Thorn. Dr. Thorn has basically sort of adopted Mary Thorn, and she has grown up as his daughter. And so they've kind of created their own little family unit, and they're very close. They love and support one another, and they just have this great family relationship. And then Mary falls in love with Frank Gresham, who belongs to a much more elite upper class family. And so it's kind of all about Frank's family and will they accept Mary, and Mary's family and the intrinsic worth and, beauty of her family unit. It's just these two different families, and how are they ever going to get along? It's difficult to explain because I can't give you spoilers, and there's just a lot of stuff that happens in this book with these two families back and forth, and with Frank and Mary and their romance. And then, of course, Mary is completely disconnected from her biological parents, and through the story, she begins to discover more about her past. So there are a lot of family discoveries happening in Dr. Thorn. And the last one on my list is Daniel Deronda. Daniel is searching for his heritage. He does not know who his parents are, and he was brought up by a guardian. And so when he becomes a young man, then he really wants to know, where do I come from and who am I really? And so he basically goes on this journey to try to discover his identity. His adoptive family and his guardian are very supportive of him, and they really provide a lot of loving relationships in his life. But somehow for him, that's just not enough. He needs to know who his biological parents are and what his heritage is. This one looks a lot at the family as the source of our identity. And it really explores that theme and that idea very deeply, and through several different channels with different relationships that Daniel sort of explores through the story. It's really interesting and dramatic and emotional. It's wonderful. And those are some of my favorite classics with family as a main theme. Of course, there are many other classics all about families, like Little Women and, I don't know, just tons, right? There's all kinds of different family stories that I love, but these are some of the ones that really stood out to me. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know, what are some of your favorite books about families? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and remember, the right book in the right hands at the right time can change the world.